Hey there, and welcome to the Overcomers Overcoming podcast. It is great to have you join us. This podcast series features those who have gained victory over a life encounter. With that life experience, we encourage those who are experiencing something that might seem to be insurmountable. We advance and encourage others by passing forward evaluated life experiences. We have three objectives in this podcast series. We want to encourage those who are engaged in any type of life encounter by offering to walk with you to help you gain victory over anything that might seem impossible. We want to share our experience to help you. Our second objective is to help you develop a confident resolve that there are multiple options to get past any life obstacle. It's a matter of thinking into the situation. Our third objective is to help you with critical thinking skills. If you are facing a dilemma resulting from a previous decision you wish you could reverse, we want to help you think into all of the facts and factors involved in making an informed decision. I'm Ron Cooper, founder of the Cooper Culture. I'm with my wife and business manager, Marty. Together, we are the Cooper Culture Company who is sponsoring this podcast series. Today, we feature Lee Atherton, who talks to us about grieving. Grieving can be a matter of any number of things. It could be a relational breakup, it could be a job loss, it could be a result of a death in the family. Lee talks to us about some very practical aspects. I think, Marty, Lee encourages us to be prepared to work with a person, that is, share with a person who is grieving. What are some takeaways you gained from Lee and what we can pass on to our listeners?
Not only did Lee share with us what to say to someone, because words matter, but words matter a lot to those that have lost someone and you don't know what to say to them. Lee suggests either we just sit with them, we talk to them in a way of comfort, but we don't leave them after you have buried the person that you loved. You continue to be with them to encourage them.
Very practical, very meaningful podcast. Let's listen together and learn. Lee, thank you so much for joining us. Our listeners are going to be very interested in your insights in the context of grief counseling. How can we make it through life devastating situation? I have a friend who I just learned Saturday lost her mother, and this has just been within the last few months. And there's a possibility of talking with her dad, and I want to learn firsthand from him just how he made it through losing a lifetime mate. But Lee, you are a coach in the grief counseling, if I've characterized that correctly. And our listeners are going to be very interested in knowing your insights into how we can make it beyond a life-devastating event. Great to have you with us, Lee.
Thank you, Ron. It's great to be with you and Marty as well.
Lee, for those listeners who maybe recently experienced, or possibly even if it hasn't been recent, they're still grieving and maybe haven't quite gotten over the loss of something very devastating, something meaning someone, how do you help a person like that?
Oh, so one thing you just said, getting over grief, right? Grief never ends. I always talk about the journey of grief as riding a white river waters. So if you think of those rushing waters and you're out of control and ducking from everything and don't think you can even stay in the boat anymore, how are you going to hang on? That's the beginning part of grief for sure. And that incredible overwhelm and feeling that you're not going to make it through. But eventually those white waters come to a different part of the river and settle down. They go a little bit more slowly. And even at times, the river widens enough that there's a tranquil pool where the water, it's still flowing, but it's still, and you can relax and even bask in the sunshine if it's warm out. And the same with grief. It'll always flow. It'll never go away, but we do get to that tranquility. So one of the first things I tell people is that piece, that it is a crazy ride. It's unpredictable. You can hold on and you will hold on. and something different will come along. You will reach that tranquil pool of peace and newness. Our lives turn upside down when there's a loss like that. I myself have never lost my life partner. And like you, I don't know how I would do it. Hopefully, the messages I give my clients and give speakers will resonate for me. I also tell people that Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's 5 steps of grief aren't so easy and clear-cut as she makes it. And I let folks know it's different for everyone. So she's got 5 stages of grief, but it's not linear. You don't go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. You might go from 1 to 5 to 2, back to 1 to 4, right? All over the map. So it's important to realize that and to give yourself the space to be in any of those places. I think of those first days, those first even months after a beloved has died. Self-care always comes to mind for me. And the importance of that, self-care being many things. Be kind to yourself and give yourself permission to cry, to scream, to yell at God or whoever the divine might be for you, to sleep extra, to not force yourself to do any number of things that are on our lists that, everyone's telling me it's been a week, I should be over it. Nope, not even close.
That's all very important. 2 things come to mind. Marty and I worked with and still have a very good friend whose husband passed away. Her period of grieving was probably pretty close to 5 years. I think I do understand everybody's period of grieving is very personal. I want to ask you the current sting, the rawness of it, the very sensitive aspect of a death is with the person for a period of time, but to an extent, and I certainly don't mean to marginalize the impact of what they're going through, this time will pass. What I just processed, you saying the rough water, the white waters will smooth out. Is it fair to say this time will pass? The legacy of the person who passed will always remain, the positive parts, but the rawness, the sensitivity, the emptiness, then whatever else you character or is going through, this time will pass, and the legacy of that person is what will be the most positive part of this. I don't want to mischaracterize anything, Lee, but I'm just wondering how to process this.
Yeah, that is a good way to process it. The intensity and the rawness, that was a good word to use, that fades bit by bit. For some people, it can be rather quick. There are some people who, as devastating as it is, feel back to their normal selves within a month or 2. And there are other people who, even after 5 years, feel that sting. But the time, you think of it as a curve graph, right? It smooths out. So it's not as high highs or as low lows. And there's more time between the highs and the lows. You find people find themselves more able to face each day. I picture what I did after my brother died. I hid under the covers for a while, literally. And it took a while for me to peel the covers back. It's like peeling the onion layers off, to get up, to feel that I wasn't walking through quicksand. There's a lot of analogies for what the pain is like. They all do ease. And it's important to remember it doesn't ease on a continuum, right? You might get to a point, the person you were referring to who 5 years out feels she or he has gotten over or come to an end of grief, but there might be something that hits out of the blue and they find themselves back where they were at 2 years.
Let me ask you about your personal experience with your brother. For the listener who wants to know, let's say is just coming into chance contact with a person who just lost a loved one, your situation where you lost a brother. And right away, some of our listeners are wondering, oh my goodness, I have no idea what to say to Lee, how to approach her. Some people might even avoid you because I just don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to, but I'm uncertain. Lee, how do we approach you? How would we have approached you in the rawness, if I could use that term, of the death of your brother?
Just show up. That's what I tell people. It's as simple as that. Just show up. You're right. Many people do avoid the person who is grieving because we don't know what to say. We don't have to say much of anything. There are no magic words that are going to take the grief away. But for someone to just come and sit with me. Hey, Lee, I brought over dinner. A lot of people find that easy to do, bring over a dinner. I brought over a dinner. Mind if I just be with you for a while? And know that the grieving person often just needs a presence, a safe, non-judgmental presence, where if they want to talk, if you make them feel comfortable that you're not going to say, well, that's a stupid thought, or there are many things that we say that we think are supportive of someone who's grieving that are actually very hard for the griever to hear. Things like, oh, you'll be better. You'll find someone else to love. You'll get pregnant again. God needed another flower in God's garden. It was his time to go. Any number of things. Don't say those, but just be there and say, I don't know what to say, but I'm here to listen.
I want to ask you about a common term I have heard. He or she is in a better place now. Is that one of those it had been better off not saying it kind of expressions?
Yes, unless the person, the griever, says that first, because there are many times. So my brother was an alcoholic and drug addict for the 50 some odd years of his life. And he had a really difficult life because of that. And he was in a lot of pain, emotional pain, the majority of his life. Many of us, when he died, said, he's not suffering anymore. He's in a better place. I'm glad his pain is over. I wouldn't say that to someone who's grieving if they hadn't said it first, because people feel and believe in very different ways. The griever just might say, the better place was here with me when I could take care of him, or any number of reactions. Or I don't care where that place is. I want my sweetheart with me.
Very important to hear you say that. Is it appropriate? Okay, let me say one way I'm processing what you're saying. Even if we feel uneasy around a person who's just lost a loved one, many times just be available to listen could be the best thing we could do.
Yes, often is the best thing you can do. And we all, our natural tendency is to say, how can I help? What can I do for you? Again, there are other ways that I would recommend saying those things. Those first days, the first week or couple of weeks when someone has experienced a tragic, tremendous loss, they are in such an overwhelmed place that they don't even know what they need, let alone be able to put it into words. So a good thing to do is ask yourself, what do I know about this person who I want to help? Does he or she have pets that need being taken care of? And instead of saying, how can I help? How about, oh, I'm bringing Teddy for a walk today. How about if I stop by and pick up Max and let Max join us for a walk? Or I'm going to the grocery store. I'll stop by and pick up your list in 45 minutes and get whatever you need. This very specific offerings.
Is it appropriate to talk to the griever and just mention some good times they've had with? Is that a possibility? Is that generally a good thing to do? Or does that bring the remembrance of and cause more sorrow? And, I'm trying to help the listener who's saying, I just don't know what to do.
Very good question. Yes, it's good to ask those questions. It's good to share your memories. Our tendency is to not want to say something that brings on the tears, that brings the grief some more. But the griever often feels nobody talks about her anymore. Nobody shares anything with me. Nobody says her name. I want to keep her alive. And how do we keep someone alive? It's in our memories, in talking about it. I always tell people at funerals, share your memories, share your stories for a few reasons. The griever wants to know that for everyone else who has gone back to life as normal, that they haven't forgotten the person who died. Always amazed. As many memories are shared. So say you and Marty have been together, when the time comes, you've been together 60 years. And Marty dies and people think, oh, you've known her for 60 years. You know everything there is to know about her. But along comes someone who shares their memory and you say, oh, I never knew that. That happens so often. So share the stories because you're keeping the person's memory alive, but you're also giving something new to the griever. It's like a gift.
I want to make a statement that applies to the person who's living. And it's the word that I'm thinking of, Lee, is legacy. We are going to leave a legacy, all of us. As we are living and as we have the opportunity to leave a very positive legacy, I want to encourage all of us to do just that, such that we do give somebody a reason to say, this person left me with just a great hope, it's something very positive. And I don't want to encourage anybody to fabricate something to where it's obviously not true. But I just feel, Lee, that as we're leaving a positive legacy, we give people reason to say something positive about us.
Yes, there are people who those who are left behind would say he or she didn't leave a positive legacy at all. And that's okay. It's okay to talk about that. I have officiated funerals for people who have been in jail for murder even. It's not easy, but to have that period of speaking about the bad stuff as well, speaking about the challenges that that person faced and acknowledging there's not a whole heck of a lot of positive that he or she left behind, but he or she does leave a legacy of some sort, and acknowledging that.
Your brother may fit that category, and I have no intention of, demeaning anyone, but possibly, just drugs, alcohol, just the topic is not real positive, but yet possibly, Lee, you can think of something positive your brother did in spite of, if I can use that term,
absolutely,
the wrong choices you wish he would not have made.
Absolutely I do. And with my clients, I try and do the same. Yeah, it wasn't a great relationship. What does come to mind for you as something that was positive in their life? And depending on who I'm sitting with as I craft a service or who I'm sitting with who's grieving, I try and dig until we find those positives. Because you're right, very right, Ron, that each one of us has positive somewhere, somehow.
Are you experiencing the loss of someone, stress from something from which it's difficult to find something positive? I want to encourage you to try to take up life pause, to try to look for something positive in that person, in that incident, something that can be gained from, learned from, something that we can carry forward. I do believe that with every life experience, albeit how devastating it seems and how wrong it seems to be, if we look for something positive, if we continuously evaluate to find something positive to carry forward, we can do that. I want to encourage you to do just that with a person and incident, whatever it may be. Let's work together to find something positive that we can pass on through life. It is an evaluated life experience that we can carry forward. Let's work together. It's a matter of life. It's a matter of our legacy. Marty and I are believers. You'll almost always find what you're looking for. You look for positive, you'll find it. You may have to dig a little harder, deeper, longer, but if you're looking for positive, you'll find it. And of course, the converse is true. And so I think, and you're the grief counselor, but I just suspect that if we're looking for the positive, we'll be able to find that with the person who's grieving. We'll be able to find the positive in whatever legacy a person leaves. And as we're able to, from the heart, be very honest about the positive legacy, maybe that's something we should strive for.
I think it's good to strive for that and let yourself express your anger, your frustration and all that at what wasn't good, because it's as we're expressing that, I use the term verbal diarrhea. When we're expressing all of that, we make room for the positive to begin to show up. Whereas if we stuff all that yucky emotion, that's what's going to be right at the tippy top.
To the person that lost someone, that it's not a positive relationship and like that, and you're talking to someone that's there trying to comfort you, I think we, being the person listening, should realize they are just expressing some things and they're trying to get this off their mind, or they're just talking out. What would you say? How would we react? Just be still? How would we react to something like that?
Wonderful question, Marty. I hear your pain. It sounds like that's so difficult. Things of that nature. Affirm that what they're saying is okay to be saying, and that you aren't thinking any worse of them or thinking bad of them at all for having those thoughts and feelings. Just the reassurance that you'll still listen, even though that's what they're expressing.
Talk with a listener who may have just very recently experienced the death of somebody, and they are trying to, as you said, you never overcome grief, but I'm at that very raw, sensitive part of my life, and I want to hide under the covers, figuratively or maybe literally. Lee, how can you help that listener over this very difficult period of time?
I have a couple of approaches that I use. One of those is looking at how much time has passed since the person died. How did you make it through the last hour? How'd you make it through the last day since you heard the news? Questions of that nature. And then again, depending on the circumstances, I might go back to what was another incredibly difficult time in your life where you felt like giving up? How did you get through that? It's connecting, helping the person connect with what was successful, even if it's only a brief moment in time. You know, you did make it through this hour, so let's go for the next hour. And sometimes it is just that moment by moment that starts to get even longer.
And as we go moment by moment, is it important for us on the, if I can use the term outsider, we're a friend of, but just be available, pick up the phone, send a text, communicate in any form, whatever, just saying, I'm here.
Yeah. And even a text, once in a while, not once in a while, a couple times a day, once a day, probably know the griever better than I would. It's different for everyone. But even a text saying, thinking about you, just lets them know they're not alone. Those first days after someone dies, everyone's coming, everyone's bringing dinner, everyone's making phone calls, everyone's doing whatever needs to be done to get ready for the funeral. And then the funeral happens and everyone goes home. Everyone goes back to their life. And the griever is so alone. Let them know they're not.
And I think that's a very important point you just mentioned, Lee. There is a period of time when, gosh, everybody's there, and there may be a repast, some people call it, a meal afters, and we're all fellowshipping, we're all together. It's that time afterwards that, gosh, nobody's here and there's silence in the home. And now that's the time, and I frequently think about those times that's maybe when people need us the most, when there's silence, X number of days or weeks after the passing of the person.
Absolutely. You are very right on that.
Lee, on behalf of our listeners, I want to thank you for this, because it's just very uncomfortable for some of us to know what to do, what to say. And unfortunately, some of us avoid those who are grieving because we are so uncomfortable about ourselves. The more we talk about this, hopefully, the more comfortable our listeners will be. And I think you're very eloquent in saying it's not necessarily what we say, it's just being available to be there. And if we spend more time listening than talking, sometimes there's more help to that.
Yes. I do a Facebook Live. It'll turn into a podcast with someone on Wednesday mornings in a grief group that we're in. And she lost her husband very suddenly. And she talks about her sister coming and living with her for a month, and how powerfully helpful it was just to know that there was someone there. She might have been in the other room watching TV or, not interacting a whole lot, but just knowing there was someone there, she says, was one of the most helpful things. Not that we have to go move in with someone who's grieving, but just being there, right? Just show up.
I'm processing what you just said, Lee. If we care enough from the heart to get to know a person, we will be able to discern their need. And if we're willing, we will adapt to their need, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. Lee, thank you. On behalf of our listeners, thank you for sharing. This is, for some, a very uncomfortable topic, but I think the more we learn, the more comfortable we are knowing how others feel. I would hope the more comfortable we are in being willing to adapt to others and the grief they're going through. Yes.
Thank you for having me on. It's an important topic we do need to look at. We do need to think about now, how would we react instead of waiting until the time comes.
And you're right there. And I think preparedness is a word that comes to mind. As we are prepared, we'll be able to deal with the situation as it comes.
Yes.
Thank you, Lee.
Thank you. It was an honor.
Grieving can result from a lot of different things. While this topic is dealing primarily with death, people grieve over a divorce, a relationship breakup, words said to or about us, any demeaning remarks. Grieving can be a lot of different things. It's a matter of us trying to recover from whatever is devastating in our life. That is a very loose definition of grieving. It is what we go through when something very meaningful to us has occurred and has disrupted our life. The disruption could be momentary, but it could be for a longer period of time. It's very personal. in how I process whatever has occurred in my life is something that's very personal to me. It's incumbent on us to learn to adapt to, because there's a lot of us who just hope someone will be willing to come up to us, initiate a conversation, initiate a friendship, a relationship, just be available. There are some of us who want for you to do that to us. We don't want to be in a position to have to ask you for that. Many of us feel uncomfortable. We just don't know how to work with someone who's grieving over any type situation. I want to encourage each of us to be as prepared as we can. Lee was very effective in saying in many cases, if we're just there, just let the person know we feel your pain, we want to listen, we want for you to express whatever you feel you want to express. Many times it's cathartic to be able just to express whatever it is we're feeling. If it's anger, if it's dismay, whatever it is, if we just have a safe space with the person with whom we're speaking to know that we can vent ourselves and just have that opportunity to release any of the anxiety, stress, different terms put to pent up emotions. If I just know I'm in a safe space with you and you're not going to take it somewhere and use it against me, but rather you're just there to be a friend. If we are prepared for that, largely it's a matter of just being available to listen. We don't have to necessarily come up with the words. If we're just available, that person will express whatever it is they are feeling, and then we can go from there. If we're just available, that is the main thing. I want to encourage each of us to be as prepared as we can to learn to deal with and learn to empathize with the person who's going through this period of, it's a painful emotion at the time. As we're prepared, we'll be able to deal with and help that person through whatever they are working with. Coaching. Everyone can benefit from coaching. Marty and I are certified life coaches through the John Maxwell Leadership Certified Team. Many people are grieving over. They are at a low point in their life because of, and then fill in the blanks with different things. It could be the breakup of someone, it could be the loss of, it could be something that was said to or about us. Coaching can help us overcome those challenges that we have, such that after a period of coaching, we can live the life that God has designed us to live, that full potential. Contact us at ron@thecooperculture.com or Marty, M-A-R-T-Y, at thecooperculture.com. Let's schedule a 30-minute complimentary coaching session. Through that, we can help you determine if we are the right person to help you live your fullest potential by overcoming anything that might be keeping you from living at your full potential. We hope we can warrant a 5-star rating and endorsement through this podcast. We hope you'll want to share this podcast with your Facebook friends, your LinkedIn connections, your Facebook and Instagram communities. The more we share, the more we engage, the more we comment to share each other's experiences, the greater the opportunity we will have to benefit from each other, and in turn, we can pass that benefit on to others so we can advance others. We look forward to working with you.